All right, my name is Kenzie Donovan, and I am going to be sharing reasons why we join small groups. We feel the need to belong, we are in need of protection, we want to improve our effectiveness, or there's pressure to join. The need to belong. Humans are highly social beings, which means the want to belong is actually a need. This drives us to find good and long-lasting relationships with others. There was a study done through the American Heart Association that proved going through life without social interaction and belonging to groups can actually lead to a broken heart. Humans often feel out of place in big social gatherings, and belonging to a group can very easily take away this feeling of uneasiness or not having fun, There's also a link found in college students between a sense of belonging and their mental health. In 2020, it was a study and it proved that college students with the sense of belonging to a small group improved their mental health, happiness, and overall well-being. Anxiety and depression are very common conditions to find in college students, but by giving them a sense of belonging to a small group, their emotional intelligence in a way blocks feelings of rejection and loneliness. The need for protection. It is common knowledge that people in any type of group is better protected together rather than alone. Stronger members can take care of other group members that are in need of physical or emotional protection. An example of some physical protection is a neighborhood watch program. This type of small group protects each other's property and watches out for it when needed. This makes the members feel safe and secure that others care for them and their belongings. An example of social or emotional protection is AA. Alcoholics Anonymous is a small group that meets together to battle alcohol addiction. Each member has their own sponsor that they can reach out to if they are struggling. This pulls them out of their head and their bad mindset and gives them someone to lean on when needed. Meeting with the small group gives the chance to talk to others and share your stories and communicate with each other to really just feel it with each other. It gives them a sense of compassion and empathy, and they feel emotionally protected because everyone else is going through the same thing and they can all relate to each other. Another reason why we join small groups is to improve our effectiveness. Some small groups work solely to improve effectiveness at a certain task. An example of this would be a study group or small group learning. These small groups have few different members, and if each member knows a little bit about a different topic, they can all come together and really just make everything connect and bring links to each other. And it just will improve test scores and effectiveness at studying. Another example of a small group that can improve effectiveness is a club or a sport. These type of groups add a sense of competition to the game and makes all the members play harder and work harder to try to be the best out of everyone. This then improves their skills so that they can be very good at it. The last example is for why we join small groups is because of pressure. Sometimes there just isn't an option to not join a group. An example of this would be a school assigned group project, such as this one. These are necessary to join because if you want to get a good grade and succeed in the class, you have to work with the others. Just because you have to pressure join does not mean that your experience has to be negative. There can be very many long-lasting and good relationships formed with your group members if you learn how to effectively communicate with each other.
Nice, good job.
Sick.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Okay. All right. Hello, my name is Tia Slippy, and I'm so glad to share with you what I've learned. I found it really interesting that there are several different ways of how a small group functions. How many of you ask yourself questions before you enter a small group? Like, are they going to like me? Or what do they expect of me? Or are we going to have the same ideas? But don't worry, these are just some of the natural questions that we ask before we enter a small group. Typically, when we enter a small group, we often start to develop expectations about the group, like what are their beliefs or what are their attitudes. And this kind of goes into the anticipatory phase, where we start to anticipate what to expect from the group. Sometimes we make a conclusion of what they might be like. When you enter a group, there are some key aspects that might help you when you enter, like getting to know what the group is like or what they're expecting, which is really important to kind of get an idea of how they work. So the group's attitude, if it's a more chill or laid back attitude, or if it's a little more like, gotta get things going, or to know the group's beliefs as well. That also is really good to know what their purpose is or what their goal is. That way you guys will know how to be able to get along and know if you guys have the same purpose in mind. Once you have met your group, next is the encounter phase when you meet your group face to face. And this can be a little intimidating at first. I know I get really intimidated when I meet new people. And it's just part of meeting a group, and then you kind of get to know the group's culture. And this is kind of like when you meet your group, then you start making goals. One or two people might start handing out tasks for different members, depending on who takes lead. And it can be a little difficult sometimes, though, if a certain member kind of takes lead a little too much, where you can't voice your opinion. I know someone who they were on vacation and needed a hotel, and then a member just went and rented a hotel that was expensive without telling the other members, and ended up a lot of money being spent and conflict. And it can be hard if you can't voice your own opinions about things like that. But remember, your ideas matter. You're part of a team, which means you're part of your group, and so your opinions are important to the group because you are a team. Next comes the assimilation phase, and this is where you decide if you want to accept or reject the group's expectations. And this is whether you ask yourself, like, do you want to follow through with the group's expectations, or do you have any questions? And you can decide yes or no if you want to stay or not. The group culture forms their identity and kind of their purpose of what they're doing. So you can say yes or no to their purpose, and it becomes an even stronger group. And when you have decided to stay, it's going to become a strong team. And the language changes from you and me to we and our, because we and our expresses partnership, because you are partners when you're on a team. Then comes the exit phase, and this happens in every group, whether a member has to leave for personal reasons or conflict, or the group is just disbanding because the project's finished and the time has ended. And it can be difficult for some members if they become close, spending a lot of time together, or it's just time's up and they leave. It just happens in every group. So strategies for small groups. To understand the group's culture is important. Understanding how they work and what they believe in is also important. Understanding their expectations for you is important, so that way you know what to prepare for and what you're going to do when you enter a group. Take in as much information as you can about the group, because this will help you understand the group and how they function. And feel free to share your ideas, because your ideas matter because you're part of the group. And being part of a group means that you have the power to make a positive difference. So thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, round 2, perfect. All right. All right. Can you guys see me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure. All right. So my name is Colleen Luxatich. I had advantages and disadvantages in small groups, but first I wanted to go over what is considered a small group. According to the textbook, a small group is a collection of 3 or more people coming together and independently to accomplish a task. So me, Tia, Kenzie, and Lauren all came together to make a presentation on small groups, but we did the work independently. We switched it up, and some of us did some things, and then we all combined it together to make a completed project. And then our advantages. First off, for advantages, we have a learning experience. So groups in general can just be a learning experience, how to go through with them, how to communicate better with other people. It's a great way to meet new people as well. You never know if your lifelong best friend's going to be in that group. It's also hard making new friends nowadays, but by being forced into a group, essentially, it gives an outlet to those who need it, including myself. And it can provide support and comfort. And with less people as a small group, it becomes less stressful. And less people, the less people you have to get to know, and you guys become more close knit in that way. Also, providing resources is a big one, whether it's money, materials, or knowledge. In life, the more people you know, the more outlets you create for yourself. Coming together as a small group creates more resources for one another, not just you, but everybody in that group. The money, time, and materials, and each other's knowledge can all help, and they're all resources now available to you. As a group, you can provide more outlets and opportunities rather than if you were alone, which brings me to my next advantage, which is synergy. And synergy is a collaboration that provides more as a group rather than alone. Kind of like the Avengers that they show in the textbook. They each have their own little thing that they bring to the group, but together they're more powerful than alone. We all have a different resource to bring to the group, and by bringing them together, we become more well-rounded. And then exposing us to diversity. This is a big one, I think. It can really help open our eyes. As kids, we can kind of be naive, but by being around other people, it can really help us understand other people's point of views, put us in other people's shoes. When we let ourselves hear what others have to say, we become more open-minded in that way. We start to form better decisions than we would have made alone. And second, third, and fourth opinions are always good in that way. All right. And then for disadvantages, let me turn. So the first disadvantage is requiring sacrifices in the group. We don't want to become a social loafer because social loafers don't really participate in the group. It's someone who doesn't put in as much effort as others. And those who spend time and effort working on the project are making sacrifices in order to help and uplift the group. So don't be that person who doesn't uplift the group, because we all need that. That's the point of small groups and coming together. And then conflict is a big one. Making decisions isn't always easy. Remember that there are other people in the group with their own opinions, and to stay open-minded about what each other have to say. If not, and so caught up over one thing, this could lead to less productivity in other important parts of the project. Some might resent helping the group if they believe the group wronged them. So remember that everybody has their own opinion and want to be heard. It's not personal. Everybody just wants to get the group done. But remember, what matters is how the situation is handled rather than the actual decision. You know, we don't, what is it? Yes, it's more mature to handle it better than getting worked over the single decision that is made by the group. And then finally is coordination. When groups grow in size, the harder it is to plan meetings and assign work and communicate effectively. Maintaining relationships is a key factor to a strong small group, because the less you know about a group member, the harder it is to reach out to them and contact them about the group project. Being more open with times and each other creates less of a divide, and the group can be a stronger group altogether. So that was mine. And then I think,
All right, I'm gonna actually like fix this and see where I need to be. Okay, kind of better. All right, so that's not what I meant to do. Share screen, your entire screen, and then share. Okay. over here. Present. Please work. Okay. So,
Wait, Lauren, we can't see you.
oh my gosh, no. Okay, hold on, wait. Stop. What is this? Stop. Oh my gosh. Maybe if I hit start video, that would help. Okay. Now we're back. Go here, then present. All right, cool. So, now that we've discussed what small groups are and the advantages that they have to being part of one, I'd like to discuss some of the challenges that may arise while being part of a small group. Small groups are oftentimes pretty rewarding, but common issues that come with being part of one is issues with coordination, experiencing conflicts, and then requiring sacrifices from members of the group. So when discussing coordination, one of the first issues you'll have is scheduling conflicts. And so when you're trying to work out what dates and times work best for the members of the group, you'll often find that things don't coincide as they should. Someone might have Monday completely booked out and other people only have Monday available. And so it's kind of a pretty big issue that you may come across. A nice strategy for figuring out how to work around this is using different applications. You can use integrated emails or calendar platforms in order to find a space where you can share each individual person's schedule, and then from there narrow down a time slot where everyone can come together and find a spot where they can achieve their goal. Another difficult part of coordination is being able to communicate efficiently and effectively. And then once the group can't communicate as efficiently as they'd like to, you communicate less about the tasks that you need to perform. So after coordination, another conflict or another challenge that comes across a lot in small groups is conflict. And conflict is totally normal. And where you usually see this happening is when making decisions and coming up with conflicting ideas. So someone might think idea A is a lot better than idea B and vice versa. And discussing these different opinions is totally fine as long as it's in a productive way. So if you're discussing responsibly and productively, you can come up with creative and more effective ideas as opposed to being destructive and not being helpful. And you can really destroy the morale of a small group and then also reduce production. After conflict is sacrifice. And so when being part of a small group, you're going to want to put the benefit of the group first. So you'll end up sacrificing some of your time and your effort in order to accomplish the goal of the small group. So let's say on Thursday, you have like guitar practice or something, and maybe nobody else is available except for when you're supposed to have your guitar practice. You might have to put it on hold that week in order to complete the task that your group needs. So you're going to be sacrificing some of your time. And then another thing you're going to be sacrificing is your effort, because you want a good product coming from whatever your group is working towards. You're going to have to put forth some effort and try and do your best to make sure everything turns out as it should. And with that comes social loafing, especially in larger small groups. There will be people who will kind of put in less effort, which in turn makes the other members of the group have to pick up their slack, and it's really not fair to the rest of the members of the group, and is a real quick way to bring down the morale and productivity. And then those three are the most common challenges you find within small groups. And in conclusion, I would say that even with struggling with coordination, conflict, and sacrifice, working in a small group can still be a very rewarding experience. Once you are able to make yourself aware of these challenges and find ways to work around them, you'll find that you can belong to a lot more productive and positive small group. And then that is it. That's all I got. Let me get out of here.